Yeah, we came too far. In the darkest days, don't know where we are or who we are. Yeah, we came too far. In the darkest days, don't know where we are or who we are. Yeah, we came too far. In the darkest days, don't know where we are or who we are. Yeah, we came too far. In the darkest.
About the disappearance of Crystal Rogers. The Nelson County mom of 5 went missing 3 years ago, and her family is still convinced her boyfriend at the time killed her.
Well, now 2 national TV shows are going to highlight the entire case this month, but today, the main suspect in the case was in court, although not for the reason Crystal's family hoped for. LEX 18's Carolina Buchek explains in the big story at 6.
Do you have anything to say to the Ballard family? Brook Houck ignored our questions today, and he ignored the Ballard family, the family of his now ex-girlfriend, Crystal Rogers, who has been missing for 3 years and is presumed to be dead. Crystal's mom is convinced Houck killed her daughter.
I'll wait for the day that I see him in court for my daughter.
But today was not that day. Houck was in court and pled not guilty, but it was for a felony theft charge, not related to Crystal's case. But that did not stop the Ballards from coming to court.
I know it has nothing to do with my daughter, but it does show what kind of person that Brook Houck is.
And while Crystal's family waits for police to find out what exactly happened to her, they've done interviews for 2 national TV programs. Both of them aired this month, and the Ballards hope that will help bring in new tips that could crack the case and bring Houck back to court.
I wait for that day every minute, every second of my life. But to see him here for anything, I will take that.
The family is hopeful this theft charge that Houck faces will also lead police to bigger discoveries. They feel they have momentum on their side. Covering the news in Nelson County, Carolina Buchek, LEX 18 News.
I feel better than I did. I'm just praying that this is a step closer to answers for us.
Answers that have eluded Sherry and Tommy Ballard for 13 long months. Their daughter, Crystal Rogers, has not been seen alive since July 3rd, 2015. But on Thursday afternoon, they got what they believe could be a break in the case. Detective John Snow, who has been the lead investigator since day 1, came to this house at the corner of Pulliam and East Forest Avenue to personally serve a search warrant to Nick Houck. Houck, a former Bardstown police officer, was dismissed from the department in October for interfering with the investigation. It was the very same month his brother, Brook Houck, Crystal's boyfriend, was named as the only suspect in the case.
I would bet my life that he's guilty. That's how sure I am that he's guilty.
And whatever crime was committed, both Sherry and Tommy Ballard have always thought Nick Houck was involved. On Thursday afternoon, neighbors say Houck talked briefly with investigators, signed off on that warrant, and then went back inside his grandmother, Anna Whiteside's home. Recently, she's been called to court to testify about a car she sold, a car investigators believe was used in the crime. The car is still at the KSP lab, and what was on that search warrant has not been made public. Still, Crystal's parents are holding out hope.
I'm ready, but I'm not ready. You know, I'm ready to put closure, so maybe we can just deal with everything.
I'm like her. I hate when that day comes, but I want to find out what they did to my daughter.
Earlier today, Rick, Nelson County Sheriff Ed Mattingly said he would not be going into the specifics of that search warrant, but Tommy Ballard, you just saw him, Crystal Rogers' father, has been told it's DNA found in the car his grandmother sold several months ago, and as you just heard, that's the very car investigators believe was used in the crime. I'm Lauren Adams, WLKY News.
Was it in an accident or was it murder? State police are continuing their investigation into the death of Tommy Ballard.
That name will be familiar to many because he is the father of missing Bardstown woman Crystal Rogers at the center of a high-profile case. ABC 36's Melody Kendall is live in our studio with tonight's top story at 6.
State police say 54-year-old Tommy Ballard was shot while hunting with his grandson off Ed Brent Lane near Bardstown. There's still a lot of unanswered questions, but now troopers are hoping the community might have information about his death.
We just want to bring Crystal home.
Crystal Rogers' parents vowed not to give up the search until she was found, but state police say her dad, Tommy Ballard, was shot and killed while hunting on his property with his grandson early Saturday morning. State police say the grandson was not involved in the death, and the deadly gunshot wound was not self-inflicted. Right now, troopers are simply calling this a death investigation, but the Kentucky Standard newspaper reports it's being investigated as a possible homicide.
I know there's been some bad incidences over in Nelson County, and they've had a rough couple 3 years. We ask them not to lose faith in us and let us do our job and let things play out.
Troopers want to talk to anyone who might have been traveling on the Bluegrass Parkway early Saturday morning, specifically around mile markers 21 through 25. And they want trucking companies to check their dash cams just in case they might have caught anything related to the shooting. Troopers say there doesn't appear to be a connection between Ballard's death and his daughter's disappearance, but the community, well aware of the family's heartache, is reaching out as the family endures a second sudden loss.
We love you. We're praying for you. We will never forget, ever.
I know everybody in Bardstown will be praying for them and thinking about them and wanting to do something to comfort them.
Anyone with information is asked to contact State Police Post 4, which is in Elizabethtown. The phone number is on our website, WTVQ.com. Reporting live in the studio, Melanie Kendall, ABC 36 News.
Sheriff said today he believes Crystal Rogers is dead. The mother of 5 was last seen with her boyfriend, Brook Houck, on July 3rd. Today, the sheriff confirmed Houck is a suspect in her disappearance. WLKY's Annalisa Gale is here with the late-breaking details. Annalisa?
Vicki, that's right. Crystal Rogers' family has been searching for answers since the mother of 5 disappeared in July. Her car was found abandoned with a flat tire on Bluegrass Parkway. Her keys, purse, and cell phone were found inside. Her family did not believe she would just leave without telling them. Since then, she's disappeared. Family members have suspected that her boyfriend, Brook Houck, was connected. They've been searching rivers, highways, and nearby counties for months. Many of Rogers' relatives say they are holding on to little hope that she is alive, but the sheriff does not believe that is the case.
It's safe to say that she's deceased, and you can do that because people have certain ways that they do business. They have to have income. They have to have food. They have to have water. They have to have shelter. They have to have family. Crystal Rogers was extremely close with her family. She has had no contact with her family.
Since they named him a suspect, I feel like they're working now, which I always thought the sheriff's department was doing a good job, but it makes me feel a lot better.
And Vicki, I can tell you, Crystal Rogers' grandfather and other family members sat in on today's press conference. They were devastated by the developments in the case. Though not surprised by the new details, I will have much more on this story at 6. I'm Annalisa Gale, WLKY News.
Who is still continuing to search for his daughter, to find this beautiful young woman and a mother who has left young children wondering where their mother is. Mr. Ballard, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
I just want to understand this timeline, because her boyfriend, who she has a child with and lives with, is saying that it was not unusual for her, due to frustrations, to leave the home and go spend the night someplace else with a cousin. So he wasn't really concerned when he woke up the next morning and she wasn't there. To your knowledge, sir, does she leave her child and her home to go someplace else?
No, I've talked to her cousin. It's my niece. He said she left like 4 to 6 times, like a day or day and a half at a time. She said she's come over 1 or 2 times at the most, and she's had that baby with her every time.
So in other words, the cousin said that she had left the home out of frustration or stress, but she'd always taken her child with her.
Right, but not that night before. She did not talk to her cousin that night.
You know, the boyfriend, who is the father of her child, Brooks, has been cooperating with police, hasn't even gotten an attorney, given statements. Nancy spoke with him last week extensively on this show. Have you spoken to him? since you haven't?
My wife did see him on that Sunday. She seen him on going down the road. She pulled him over. She asked him, she said, have y'all have a fight? And she said, well, you know how Crystal is. She gets a little puffy, but I haven't seen her. I don't know where she's at. She said, well, I'm going to the police. And he said, that would probably be a good idea. And then he drove off, left it at that. I've asked the police if I got 200 volunteers if we could go to that farm. And they said, no, he does not want none of y'all on that farm.
You can't spell performance without or. Like you can have performance or...
Hi, what up, y'all? Planet of Fake Families here. And shout out to Prissy B for this and Pigstar HH News. The case of Crystal Rogers. Now, I'm going to keep it 100. I don't know much about it. She disappeared 5 years ago. The family suspected the boyfriend. The father vowed to fight for justice to his dying day. They actually shot and killed him on his farm. The boyfriend has a brother that works for the police department. He got fired for interfering with the case. Now, I want to use this as an example to debunk white supremacy. Do you not see these are white people? Do you not see they're being deprived justice? Do you not see how the family of the suspect is unified to the point the brother will get fired as a police officer in order to interfere with the case? This is why people need to chill out. Yes, we know it's some systematic race warriors in the foreign company posing as a place in order to act like your government. But at the end of the day, just re-say what I just said and think about what that would be doing to America. That's all I'm going to say. And at the end of the day, the mother believes this man is the culprit. The father has been shot and killed on his own farm. She's been missing since, 2015? And this is the suspect? And the mother, I don't know, I gotta do the research to search. I don't know. She was heartbroken after her husband was shot and killed on his own land while hunting. Who kills a man while he's armed on his own land? Think about that. This is a deep one, y'all. This is the case of Crystal Rogers. F.B.I. just took over the case, raided the boyfriend's house 5 years later. See what he's doing after that raid. Planet of Fakes and Pigstar HH News. With that being said, what you heard and saw was the content. For additional content, click the link in the description. Like, follow, share, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, visit my community wall, and if you have time, go to www.amore-eka.com/TV. That's our Planet of Fakes 2. We are the new umbrella. Planet
of the Fakes for Women. Pigstar HH News. F.B.I. takes over investigation of Crystal Rogers, gets straight to work in Bardstown. Get local stories sent straight to your inbox as news breaks. Bardstown, KY. More than 150 state and federal law enforcement officers were deployed to Bardstown, Kentucky, early Thursday morning following an announcement that the F.B.I. is taking over a high-profile disappearance. F.B.I. Louisville said it is now the lead investigative agency on the Crystal Rogers case. Rogers, 35, was reported missing by her mother 5 years ago. She hasn't been heard from since July 3, 2015. 2 days later, her car was found abandoned with a flat tire on the Bluegrass Parkway with her keys, phone and purse still inside. Since the mother of 5 disappeared, the only suspect ever named has been her boyfriend at the time, Brook Houck, with whom she shares a child. He has never been charged. Now, federal agents are stepping in to help get answers and started by searching Brooks's home and other properties in the Nelson County community. 5 years after reporting her missing, Crystal Rogers' mother still waiting for justice. I have committed publicly and privately that delivering long-sought justice in Nelson County is the highest priority case of the United States Attorney's Office, said U.S. Attorney Russell Coleman in a news release. Today's efforts by our stalwart FBI, Internal Revenue Service and Kentucky State Police partners is a major step in honoring that promise. Law enforcement officers began executing 9 federal search warrants early Thursday and conducted more than 50 interviews in Bardstown. Much of the day's activities wrapped up by 5 p.m. This content is imported from Twitter. You may be able to find the same content in another format, or you may be able to find more information at their website. By utilizing federal resources and expertise and by bringing a fresh perspective to the case, those responsible for Crystal's disappearance will be brought to justice, the FBI said. We know of 3 places where officers searched Thursday: Brook Houck's home, his brother Nick Houck's home, and the Houck family farm, all of which have been searched before. This content is imported from Facebook. You may be able to find the same content in another format, or you may be able to find more information at their website. The FBI has also launched a new task force and website to help share information about Rogers' case, www.kristalrogerstaskforce.com. There is currently a $25,000 reward for information leading to her whereabouts, the FBI said. More background on the investigation. Since Rogers disappeared, her mother, Sherry Ballard, hasn't given up hope. This content is imported from Twitter. You may be able to find the same content in another format, or you may be able to find more information at their website. Authorities believe Houck, Rogers' boyfriend at the time, was the last person to see her alive. Within the first year of Rogers' disappearance, Brooks's brother, Nick Houck, was fired from the Bardstown Police Department for interfering with the investigation. Searches were conducted at both of their homes Thursday. Early on, friend and employee of Brooks Houck, Danny Singleton, faced 38 counts of perjury for lying to detectives during the investigation, but pleaded guilty to lesser charges of false swearing. At one point, investigators zeroed in on Houck's grandmother, Anna Whitesides. The state believed her car may have been used to dispose of Rogers' body. Whitesides, who had previously talked to investigators, later invoked her Fifth Amendment right, refusing to testify when called to court. Just about a year ago, a new detective took over the case when Det. John Snow left the Nelson County Sheriff's Department. Chief Deputy Jody Gilliland then became the lead until the feds stepped in. Over a week ago, human remains were discovered near the border of Nelson and Washington County, and FBI in Virginia are investigating that discovery. No word on if there is any connection to the Rogers case. Other high-profile cases in Bardstown. This isn't the only high-profile unsolved mystery in the city of Bardstown. For one, Crystal Rogers' father, Tommy Ballard, was shot and killed on family property near Bluegrass Parkway on November 19, 2016, just over a year after she died. Also, a Bardstown officer, Jason Ellis, was ambushed and killed along the Bluegrass Parkway on May 25, 2013. He had stopped to clear debris on the road when he was shot several times. Day's activities come to an end. Once agents wrapped up their work Thursday, no announcements were made on behalf of the FBI or the other agencies involved. There was no timeline given on when the investigation could wrap up or if any charges would be announced. Again, the FBI said there were 9 search warrants being served, but we only know of 3 that were completely executed. It's unclear when we'll know anything about the others. It's unclear if or when investigators will return to Bardstown. Full video link in the description. Like, follow, share, subscribe, and comment, hit the bell. And, if you have time, thank you very.
FBI has taken the lead, and right now, dozens of FBI agents are in Bardstown serving search warrants. WLKY Chopper HD is flying above one of the properties. This is a farm belonging to the Houck family. Dozens of agents have been there all morning long. This property's been searched by police in the past. Now, FBI agents are also searching the home of Brooks Houck, Rogers' boyfriend at the time of her disappearance, and the only suspect ever named in the case. A house where Brooks' brother currently lives is also being searched today. WLKY's Lauren Adams joins us live now on Glenview Drive in Bardstown with details. Lauren, what are you learning there on the ground?
Well, good afternoon to you, Monica. This is actually the home of Brooks Houck right here behind me. And I got to tell you, this is not the first time agents have been here. In fact, according to the family of Crystal Rogers, this isn't even the first time IRS agents have been here. Now, as you mentioned, these search warrants got underway early this morning. In fact, at this point, these folks have been out here for more than 6 hours, and the investigation is ongoing. Take a look behind me. You can see several of them just in a waiting period at this point right now. Now, closer to the front of the home, we looked there earlier, and we can see it appears that forceful entry was used to gain entry to the home early this morning. Now, neighbors, in fact, tell me they woke up around 6 this morning to a loud boom. One woman says it was so loud it sounded like Fort Knox. For the past several hours, we've seen IRS agents search Houck's home and business vehicles and load up multiple evidence boxes. We also witnessed a similar operation on Pulliam Avenue. That is where Houck's brother Nick lives. Federal agents for much of the day seen going in and out of the home, but dedicating a lot of time to a pickup truck parked in the driveway. And also, as you mentioned, FBI agents returning to the Houck family farm, an area that has been searched extensively in the past. Now, the FBI won't say much about their efforts, only that this is part of an ongoing investigation. But those living near the homes and the areas being searched are grateful 5 years after it began to see this case moving forward.
I can imagine not getting answers. I can imagine all of this time and not knowing. It would be a nightmare. That family's been affected all around.
It's awful what they had to go through. I mean, these people have suffered for 5 years, you know, it's just ridiculous. And thank God the FBI took over and they doing their job now, finally getting closure on it.
And that closure is certainly very, very important for the family of Crystal Rogers. In fact, I spoke briefly today, Monica, with Sherry Ballard. That is the mother, of course, of Crystal Rogers. She has been part of these searches for years. She's held multiple vigils. She's always been out on the front lines asking anyone with information to come forward. But today, she is quiet. I spoke to her briefly and she said she just needs a day to process the information, the day's events, but she told me she is feeling very hopeful. She says she is encouraged by the efforts going on today and grateful for what law enforcement are doing. She says she believes she is closer to getting justice for her daughter. Reporting live for you in Bardstown this midday, I'm Lauren.
What up, y'all? Planet of the Fakes, king of content. Thank you for looking at my video. And also, I need y'all to basically follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is it ain't even
Hey, good morning, guys. We have changed our locations. Lauren Adams back here live this morning, in Bardstown already. It's been a pretty long day, so I apologize for telling you guys good night, but good morning to you, and thank you for joining us. So we got word this morning that the FBI was taking over the investigation into the Crystal Rogers case. This is the Bardstown mother of 5 who disappeared more than 5 years ago, around the 4th of July. 5 years ago, her car was found abandoned by the side of the Bluegrass Parkway. Her keys, her purse still inside. And just like that, she was gone without a trace. So the FBI is now taking over the investigation. Here's what we know. They have searched multiple places related to this investigation, beginning this morning around 5:30, 5:45. You're taking a live look at Brook Houck's home. This is the only suspect ever to be named in the case. At the time of Crystal's disappearance, he was her boyfriend. He was the father of Eli, her youngest child. You can see there is still some activity right now. You are looking at IRS agents. We just talked to them. They told us they are here on official business, and that's all they would say. Obviously, we know they are here on official business, but in an investigation like this, they have specific orders, obviously, not to share too much. So just a short time ago, according to neighbors, this street here was filled with multiple police officers, federal agents coming to Brook Houck's home, operating on a search warrant. We also know that at this point they have gone ahead and they are continuing to search the Brooks's family's farm. That's a short distance away right now from where we are, maybe about 20 minutes. That's also a point of contention in the investigation. They've searched that multiple times. Personally, I've been out there several times. So we know right now the FBI, federal agents, are searching the family farm, the Houck's family farm. We also know, and we just left there over on Pulliam Avenue at a home that once belonged to Brooks's grandmother, Anna Whitesides. Right now, we know his brother, Nick, who is a former Bardstown police officer, who many believed had something to do with this investigation. He was dismissed from the department ultimately. We know that he has been living at that home on Pulliam Avenue, and police are there right now. FBI agents specifically are over at that location. So too is the family of Crystal Rogers. That includes her brother Casey, several uncles. We saw an aunt. We also saw her grandparents, a very, very nice couple in their 80s. I talked time ago, and they tell me that this is something that they've been waiting for 5 years, and they feel really good, and they're hoping that this is it. Now, how this ball really got started was several weeks ago. The Nelson County Sheriff's Office announced that human remains had been found somewhere in the county. By talking to folks here in Bardstown, we have now learned that it was on private property. It was two gentlemen that were fishing. They weren't having much luck, so they went upstream, up a creek, and they saw what they believed to be were human remains, bones. So they contacted proper authorities. That was the Nelson County Sheriff's Office. Since then, the Nelson County Sheriff's Office has turned over that investigation to what they believe are human remains. They've turned that over to the F.B.I. headquarters in Quantico, Virginia. We asked recently just how soon until we get answers. Are those human remains? Are those Crystal Rogers remains? We've told it could be days. We're told it could be months. So we are just waiting on this. But in the meantime, take a live look over here. Certainly, this case is now moving. This is the most movement. As someone who has been on this case from the very beginning, I was with the family in their second week of searches. For someone who has been on this case from the beginning, this is the most action we have seen in a very, very long time. Again, you can see right now, IRS special agents, they've zeroed in on a truck. That is a work truck. We know Brook Houck is a landlord in the area, also does some maintenance, some construction projects. So it's kind of interesting that the IRS would be here. Just another layer of what we know to be an extremely complex investigation. So here's what we know from talking to neighbors. It was around 5:45 this morning when a lot of them tell us their dog started barking. And all of a sudden they heard booms. There was agents trying to make their way into the front of the home. We were told that Brook Houck was escorted from the home, put into a car. We've also been told the same about his brother, Nick Houck, over on Pulliam Avenue, which is about 10 minutes from here. We were told Nick Houck was put into an armored vehicle, and we have been told by sources close to the investigation, law enforcement, family members, that both are being interviewed right now, but it's not expected that charges would be filed today, if any. That is because this is the very, very early stages of the investigation. For those of you just joining us, we are at Brook Houck's home. He was the boyfriend of Crystal Rogers at the time she disappeared in July 5 years ago. It's pretty quiet right now. You can see there are several media members, a Kentucky State Police car, state police, federal agents, local agents, they're all working together. And IRS remains on scene at this hour. Neighbors telling us it was pretty crazy just a few hours before, a lot of action here at Brook's home. And something else family told us that was very, very sad. Brooks won primary custody in a very talked about case involving Crystal Rogers' parents and himself. So Crystal's little boy, his little boy, Eli, lives with him here. So we know that he was home, according to neighbors, according to family members, at 5:45 this morning when agents came and served that warrant here at the home. So probably a pretty traumatic turn of events for a little boy who has already experienced so much. Again, this has been going on since 5:45. I asked one of the agents on scene just a short time ago how much longer do they expect to be here. He said, I really can't comment on that. That's something we expect. That's fine. The Nelson County Sheriff's Office. I talked to Sheriff Raymond Penaroa just a short time ago. He tells me he is expecting to issue a statement, but he told me he is very appreciative for the help the FBI is giving. Officially this morning, just before 7, the FBI Louisville released an announcement saying that they were becoming the lead on this case, and the sheriff, by all intents and purposes, through our conversation, seemed very grateful to have that help. I also reached out to Sherry Ballard. That is the mother of Crystal Rogers. I spoke to her just about a month ago when it was the 5-year anniversary of her daughter's disappearance. Spoke to her briefly today. She said, I'm just not ready to talk right now. She said she needs just a little bit of time to digest this. A lot is going on right now. She said she'll be ready to talk soon, but just not right now. And she's continuing to ask for the community's prayers. But she did tell me she feels really encouraged and hopeful for justice in her daughter's case. 5 years after her oldest child, her oldest daughter, went missing, she is now more hopeful than ever for justice. So we're going to continue to keep you guys posted on this story as it continues to develop. Right now, as you can see, a lot more action, several more IRS agents making their way out of Brook Houck's home, checking out some of his property in the driveway. Lots of them have cameras, notebooks. I'm certainly not going to guess on what they are doing, but obviously a pretty important piece of this investigation as they have been here now for several hours. We also know at the same time, agents, more than I think 50 to 60 is what family, the Crystal Rogers family told me, are on the scene over at the Houck family farm. They told me there are so many agents over there. Agents that came from as far away as Texas is what they're being told. They are on scene right now at the Houck family farm. And then we know from just leaving that scene that there are agents over on Pulliam Avenue as well, searching a home where Nick Houck, the brother of Brook Houck, has lived for some time. So we're going to sign off here right now. You guys can always get the latest on WLKY.com, and we'll have a live report with what we know coming up today at noon on WLKY.
Crystal Rogers has been missing for 5 years this month. For 5 years, her family has searched, prayed, and fought for answers.
I'm going to get those answers one day.
Last seen alive on July 3rd of 2015. Family says Rogers' cousin saw her walking out of Walmart, and then she spent the night with her boyfriend, Brook Houck. Houck told police they were at his mom's farm, feeding the cows, and then they went home. He says he went to bed.
So you go to bed, she stays up. What's she doing?
She's just on her phone playing, I don't know what game, but she normally plays a game.
Right.
July 4th, one day after she is last seen alive, her family starts to worry. They say they can't get a hold of her. Her mom, Sherry Ballard, files a missing persons report at the Nelson County Sheriff's Office. And on July 5th, the first big development. Someone spots Crystal's maroon Chevy sedan on the side of the Bluegrass Parkway. When her dad, Tommy Ballard, goes to see for himself, he finds her keys, phone, and purse inside.
If Crystal's out there and can see us, we're hunting for you.
Dozens of friends and family spent the rest of the day and night searching the highway and rural areas surrounding it. But family says Houck never offered to help.
He's had no emotion. It's like nothing's changed to him, and to us, our whole world has changed.
July 6th, the family announced a $25,000 reward in her case. The next day, July 7th, Brooks is brought into an interrogation room at the Nelson County Sheriff's Office, where he sits down with Detective Jonathan Snow. He explains when he woke up, the couple's baby, Eli, was in bed next to him, and Crystal was gone.
And so when you wake up, he's there, but Crystal's not.
She's not.
Okay. And so did you try to call her, or?
Yes, I noticed that she wasn't there. I didn't know exactly what to think. I don't know what time I called her. Yes, I called her that morning.
The interview was interrupted by Houck's older brother, who at the time was a Bardstown police officer. Nick Houck telling his brother Brooks he should leave the interview. And he did. On July 10th, the Nelson County Sheriff's Office executes a search warrant at the Houck family farm, the last place Crystal was said to be alive.
This property is the last property that she was seen at, as far as we've been told.
Later that week, on July 15th, Brooks' brother Nick is interviewed by the Kentucky State Police. Detectives say they found bodily fluids in his vehicle. He says he can't explain why. For the next 3 months, the family continues to search, walking through woods, wading through water, determined to find the missing mother of 5, and waiting on word from police. Mid-October, local authorities drop 3 major developments in the case. First, then Sheriff Ed Mattingly announces Crystal is officially presumed dead.
There's certain things that people do that when they exist on this earth, and she has vanished from earth. And I think it's safe to say that she's dead.
Then we learn Nick Houck has been fired from his job as a Bardstown police officer after the chief said he interfered with his brother's police interview.
I was less than impressed, was very bothered by some of the actions that were displayed.
Then, we learn Nick Houck has been fired from his job as a Bardstown police officer. Later that same day, in October of 2015, the sheriff declares he has his eye on one man in this case.
They're looking at one suspect and one suspect only. That's her Rogers' live-in boyfriend, Brooks Houck.
But Brooks Houck is not arrested. He is not charged. These developments in the first 4 months of the case would be the most tangible as the wait continued for 5 more years.
Federal agents were also searching 2 other Houck family properties.
WDRB's Lexi Ratterman explains what is happening this morning. Lexi.
The road we're on right now is blocked. Police have had it blocked since yesterday to any through traffic, but just up the street is where the Houck family farm is, and that's owned by Brooks Houck's grandmother. That's where KSP are blocking the entrance to the farm, which is why we are being held back a little ways right now. FBI agents searched the entire farm yesterday, and they plan to be back later on this morning. It's unclear right now if they are there. We have seen KSP officers coming and going. Again, they're blocking the street a little ways up to the farm. But as far as FBI agents, we have not seen any this morning. Along with searching the farm, though, and Brooks Houck's house, state and federal officers also searched Nick Houck's home. He's Brooks' brother. Brooks was the only suspect ever named in the Crystal Rogers disappearance case. At his brother's home, FBI searched his truck, his house, and his garage, and at one point they brought out at least 4 guns. Just over 2 weeks ago, possible human remains were found in Nelson County. While the FBI has not officially identified whom or what they belong to, neighbors have their speculations that it could be related to the Rogers case.
There's got to be definite answers for them to just come in, bust open. What is it, 3 different locations?
I hope they'd take as long as they need to come out with the right information to give this family closure.
FBI says they're conducting around 50 interviews in relation to the disappearance of Crystal Rogers. They have not given us any information, though, about who they're interviewing or what they've been collecting at these properties. We do know that they served 9 search warrants yesterday, and they do plan to be back out in Bardstown today, specifically at the Houck family farm. Reporting live, Lexi Ratterman, WDRB News.
Federal.
Mark my words, August 6th of 2020 is going to go down in the history books as one of the biggest days, if not the biggest day, in the investigation into the disappearance of Crystal Rogers. Let me explain. So, July 3rd of 2015, Crystal Rogers was last seen and allegedly just disappears. Well, there's been a lot that's gone on since then, including search warrants and interviews and all kinds of things. But it seems like things sort of started to slow down. Well, just after the 5th year of her disappearance, a body was actually found in a remote location on private property. I actually just found out a few minutes ago from Lauren Adams with a local news station in Kentucky that 2 men that were fishing actually found the remains. And they found the remains by walking upstream after they were having difficulty catching anything. So, after remains were found, Crystal Rogers' family was actually notified. And then the remains were sent to FBI's Quantico location. Well, today, August 6th, we're finding out that the FBI has actually taken over this investigation. And even better than that, they are currently executing at least 4 different search warrants on 4 different locations right now. You know what's even stranger? The IRS agents are even at Brooks Houck's home. Brooks Houck's home. So, what do we know so far? Well, we know about 5:45 a.m. this morning, Brooks was escorted out of his home. We also know the child that him and Crystal shared was at the home, which is very unfortunate. Brooks won full custody of their child against Crystal's family a few years ago.
Unfortunately, he was at the home at the time.
We also know that Nick Houck was also escorted out of his home as his home was being searched as well. We know that they were escorted into vehicles and they were said to be interviewed in the beginning. But as you can see in this footage, Brooks Houck is just sitting out in front of his garage area, just kind of interested in the helicopter flying above. It'll be very interesting to see what actually comes of this and to see what happens. Is it interesting to you like it is to me that the FBI all of a sudden decided to take over this case and execute all these search warrants shortly after a body was found? And it's kind of interesting or ironic, I guess you could say, that all of this transpired just days after the 5th year anniversary. We'll keep you up to date and let you know what happens, as this is actually near and dear to my heart because it's not very far away from me. And if you followed this case at all, you know that Crystal Rogers isn't the only person who has met foul play. You know that there's Jason Ellis, the former cop. You know that there's the family, the mother and daughter. And you also know that, unfortunately, Crystal's father, Tommy, also met with foul play. We wanted to do a complete and total series on this, and then I'll be honest, we kind of got wrapped up in the Prisma Reyes case, trying to find her for her family. So we're going to continue to dive back into this case and see what we can come up with. We'll bring you the latest as we come up with it.
I'm Bill Bryant. It's 7:58. A story developing new this morning. The FBI says it is taking the lead in the Crystal Rogers case.
Yes.
The Nelson County mother disappeared 5 years ago. The FBI says it will be executing federal search warrants and conducting dozens of interviews in Bardstown.
Praise the Lord.
Last month, human remains were found in Nelson County near the place Rogers was last seen. Kentucky Board of Education.
Main suspect in the disappearance of a mother of 5, Crystal Rogers in Bardstown, has been indicted on felony theft charges now. Police arrested Brook Houck after they say he was caught stealing roofing shingles from Lowe's. New tonight at 6, WHS 11's Shay McAllister spent the day in Bardstown learning more about what happened there.
Brook Houck spent Wednesday night here at the Nelson County Jail. He was arrested yesterday on felony theft charges after police say they searched his home, seizing multiple items. These pictures taken Wednesday afternoon show officers serving a search warrant at Brook Houck's Bardstown home, the same home he shared with his former girlfriend Crystal Rogers. Houck has since been named the main suspect in Rogers' disappearance, but police say this search has nothing to do with that case.
We were contacted by theft prevention from Lowe's regarding some theft that was occurring at the store. And through an investigation that we conducted here at the Bardstown Police Department that led to the indictment of 4 felony theft charges and 4 misdemeanor theft charges.
While Houck was booked into the Nelson County Jail on a $25,000 full cash bond, detectives from multiple agencies searched his property. Police say it's policy to call in for help from outside agencies when executing a search warrant in a small town. Nelson County Detective Jonathan Snow, the lead investigator in Rogers' disappearance, confirmed to WHAS 11 that he was there and participated in the search.
Even though it doesn't have anything to do with my daughter, it's actually showing some of his true colors and the kind of person that he is. And I was just very happy about that.
Sherry Ballard, Roger's mother, says she finds hope in this investigation, even though it doesn't involve her daughter's case.
This is the first real thing that has happened. He's got by with so much that it's just been unbelievable. So I was actually shocked that he was going to jail, but it was like a bittersweet moment for me.
Now she is looking to detectives to continue the search for her missing daughter, looking not only for answers, but also justice. Houck is expected in court at the beginning of next month. If convicted on all charges, he could be facing up to 20 years in prison. In Bardstown, I'm Shay McAllister, WHAS 11 News.
6:55 right now, a break in a high-profile case this morning in Nelson County, Bardstown specifically, where any moment police are going to continue their search on a farm there in Nelson County where they believe they found where a crime happened involving the missing mother of 5, Crystal Rogers.
The farm is owned by the mother of Rogers' boyfriend, Brook Houck, the man who is the main suspect in this case. Our Julia Rose is in Bardstown this morning with the latest on that search and actually has Crystal Rogers' dad with her as well. Julia?
Well, that's right, Brooke and Derek. As it's getting lighter out here, we're seeing police officers, investigators starting to come to this staging area, and also Crystal Rogers' father, Tommy Ballard. He's right here with us now. And Tommy, I know this has just been a year of ups and downs for you, but yesterday you did say you felt hopeful.
Yeah, I feel like they're doing a good search, and this is what we've been fighting for a long time. So. And I think today is going to be a good day. I know yesterday they said they took some items of interest. So.
And we don't know exactly what those items of interest are, but a good sign that they did take them. And you said you truly believe this crime happened here.
Yeah, that's where I think we all do. So hopefully we can find something else today.
And this search feels different, you said. I mean, there's been a couple searches along the way, but something about this one, you said there's a lot of people that have been out here.
There's a lot of people, a lot of law enforcement from out of town. They got a lot of help, so yeah, and a lot of dogs. So yeah, it makes you feel different. Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine how hard this has been for you, but thanks for talking with us, and best of luck today as they continue. Again, this search is set to continue really any minute now. We're seeing law enforcement gathering here at this staging area. It's about less than a mile away from the farm where they'll be searching. We're told today will be a more difficult part of the search because it will focus on the back of the farm where there's some rough terrain. But we will keep you updated throughout the morning, throughout the day here in Nelson County. Reporting live in Bardstown, Julia Rose, WHAS 11 News.
Hey, good morning, guys. We have changed our locations. Lauren Adams back here live this morning, in Bardstown already. It's been a pretty long day, so I apologize for telling you guys good night, but good morning to you, and thank you for joining us. So we got word this morning that the FBI was taking over the investigation into the Crystal Rogers case. This is the Bardstown mother of 5 who disappeared more than 5 years ago, around the 4th of July, 5 years ago.
Throughout 2013 and 2014, the area surrounding Bardstown, Kentucky was mired in controversy. In May of 2013, an officer from Bardstown, named Jason Ellis, was shot and killed while on his way home. The unknown offender seemed to be lying in wait, having set up some branches and tree limbs in the middle of the road. Jason, being who he was, pulled over and tried to clean up the mess, but was shot and killed by this unknown offender. Jason's case would grow cold by the end of the year, but tragedy struck again before the 1-year mark of his death. In April of 2014, the bodies of a special education teacher named Kathy Netherland and her 16-year-old daughter Samantha were found in their home on the outskirts of Bardstown. They had been savagely murdered by an unknown assailant, but there seemed to be even less clues pointing towards their killer than the prior year's ambush. These were 2 women with no known enemies, and there was no real motive ever ascribed to their killing. As 2014 came to an end, Bardstown seemed to be regaining some semblance of normality. The normally quiet and quaint small town was not used to the national spotlight, which these unsolved crimes had been bringing to it. Sadly, tragedy was not yet done with the people of Bardstown, Kentucky. This is the story of Crystal Rogers. Welcome to Unresolved. I am your host, Michael Whelan. This is the 3rd episode of my Bardstown Revisited series, which is taking a second look at stories I originally covered back in 2016. However, before we get into the episode itself, I'd like to briefly tell you how you can help support this show, Unresolved. If you would like to support the podcast, please consider heading to patreon.com/unresolvedpod. There, you could get access to commercial-free episodes, bonus episodes, and much more. Once again, that's patreon.com/unresolvedpod. To learn more about the show and how to get in touch, just listen through to the close of this episode, or visit the podcast website, which is unresolved.me. Once again, that's unresolved.me. Now, let's learn more about the subject of today's story, Crystal Rogers. In 2015, Crystal Rogers was an incredibly normal, yet somewhat shy, 35-year-old. Crystal, the daughter of Tommy and Sherry Ballard, had been married to a man named Keith Rogers, with whom she had a couple of kids. Eventually, the marriage between Keith and Crystal began to strain, and instead of a divorce, the two agreed to simply separate for a time. Crystal keeping his last name, Rogers, as they became estranged. Shortly thereafter, she had started dating a local man named Brook Houck, and this relationship carried on for several years, leading into 2015. With Brooks, she would have one child, a son named Elijah, or Eli for short. In addition to dating Brooks, Crystal also worked with him. You see, Brooks came from a pretty well-off family with roots in Bardstown, and he owned and managed multiple rental properties in the region. Crystal worked with him, in addition to helping raise her 5 kids and babysitting for others. Sherry Ballard, Crystal's mother, recalls her as being a very kind, compassionate, and shy person, who was not the sort to make any waves. Speaking to Fox News, Sherry stated, quote, "Crystal had no enemies that I know of. She did rental property. I mean, I'm sure people weren't always happy when she had to collect rent, but that's a normal, everyday thing." According to some of those that were close to Crystal in the summer of 2015, her relationship with Brooks was beginning to strain. Some have described their relationship as being stressed due to work and some other factors. But some have even claimed that in the summer of 2015, Crystal was preparing to break up with Brooks. We have no real evidence of that being true, only some local gossip, but it is worth sharing because of what comes next. On July 3rd, 2015, Crystal Rogers texted a friend of hers, stating that she was excited to finally have a child-free night alone with Brooks. She said that she had gotten a babysitter and was going to be spending the evening alone with her boyfriend. This was the night before the 4th of July holiday, and we know for a fact that Crystal and Brooks went to his family's farm. The specific details of their trip have been disputed in the years since, but this would be the last known location that Crystal Rogers would ever be seen. The 4th of July holiday came and went. Barbecues were had throughout the region, fireworks went off in the night sky, and the loved ones of Crystal Rogers did not hear from her throughout the day. According to Sherry Ballard, Crystal's mother, quote, "She wasn't returning any phone calls. She still hadn't contacted us, and that's when I really started getting worried." The following day, July 5th, 2015, Crystal's vehicle was found abandoned along the Bluegrass Parkway on the westbound side, near mile marker 14. The keys were still in the ignition of her maroon Chevy Impala, and one of the car's tires was flat. Other than that, the car seemed to be in good condition, just bizarrely abandoned along the highway. Inside the vehicle, Crystal's belongings seemed to be scattered. Investigators would find her cell phone, uncharged, her purse, her makeup, and some other belongings strewn throughout the vehicle. However, there seemed to be no presence of Crystal inside, or nearby, the vehicle itself. Later that day, July 5th, Crystal was reported missing by her family. A missing persons investigation was immediately launched by Detective John Snow. That's right, Detective John Snow. And within hours, began centering in on the person that Crystal's family believed was responsible for her disappearance. Her boyfriend, Brook Houck. Shortly after Crystal's disappearance, Brook Houck met with investigators who wanted to get a better sense of his relationship with Crystal, as well as the events of the last night they had spent together, July 3rd. Brooks claimed that he had gone to the family farm that night, along with Crystal and their 2-year-old son, Eli. He said they had fed the livestock and then returned home early that evening. Brooks claimed that they had gone to bed as they normally did, with Crystal playing some game on her phone as he faded off to sleep. Then, he alleged that he woke up the next morning and Crystal was gone. According to him, this was not unusual. In fact, he claimed this was something she did from time to time, just heading out in the middle of the night to hang out and party with her sister and friends. By Brooks' description, Crystal was a bit of a partier, who often left behind her children at home to attend quote-unquote fantasy parties, whatever that means. This allegation was disputed by virtually all of Crystal's friends and family, who said that the woman wasn't a shut-in by any means, but she wasn't the kind of person to leave her children for a day or more to simply go party. Besides, most of her known friends had kids of their own, and, likewise, would not be able to just abandon them like that. When Brooks was asked about the text messages retrieved from Crystal's friends, alleging that the two of them were going to be spending their July 3rd together, without any children, Brooks had no response. He simply said, "I don't know," when questioned, and could not articulate any response. Family and friends of Crystal noted that Brooks' attitude in the period of time that Crystal was missing, from July 3rd on, seemed very off-putting. He seemed to have done very little to try and locate her in the 2 days before her Chevy Impala was found along the Bluegrass Parkway. He told investigators that he had tried calling her on the morning that she went missing, July 4th, but could not remember where he was or exactly when he had made that phone call. In addition, even after Crystal's vehicle was found and she was reported missing on July 5th, her loved ones state that Brooks did not seem to be overly moved or shocked by the news. In fact, he did not offer to help with any of the search efforts and seemed almost apathetic to the news. Brooke Ballard, Crystal's sister, stated about Brook Houck and his statements to police, quote, "The stories just don't add up. You just don't go to bed one night and not know she's gone and then not worry when she left the baby. He has not offered once to search, or help, or do anything for the family." On July 8th, 2015, Brook Houck sat down for an interview with Nelson County Sheriff's Detective John Snow. In this interview, he spoke about the morning Crystal had gone missing, telling investigators about her habit of disappearing in the middle of the night.
If I woke up on a Saturday morning and my wife wasn't with me in the bed, as is normal, which might not be normal for you, I don't know, but for me, it would be normal, particularly if my wife's a late sleeper, which mine is as well on Saturdays, for her to be there in the bed when I get up. So if she were not, probably the first thing I would do would be to call her to find out where she was.
But what you're not aware, what you're missing is a lot of times that her and Brooke, her sister, or Sabrina, a lot of these girls that they do all these, they go out and do stuff. Sometimes they do these, and this is going to be embarrassing for me to talk to you about, but I'm wanting to get everything cleared up as quickly as I can. They do these fantasy parties. All these girls get together. They talk about and do whatever. And it's not uncommon for them, when they go out and party, they stay out the better part of the night, if not the whole night. So, and of course, I always have the children, during that. They don't take the kids to that. Matter of fact, I take care of some of their other children while they're the ones going. It's not uncommon because they know I don't get into all that stuff, and they know that I'm a man, don't get me wrong. Understand that, a white-blooded American male. And there's no sense, I'm not telling you anything different, but they do all these parties and order all this stuff. Well, who gets the kids? I'm good enough to get the kids for all this, and I'm a good enough person to do that. And then when everybody sees a little bit of distress, they're going to throw me under the bus. They need to re-examine all these other actions, how, and I can understand the family wanting to vent and stress, and it makes perfect sense to me. But these people know me better than what's going on. And before this is all over and done with, you all are too. But it bothers me because not only have I been a victim, I can't even, my mind's not even where it should be, because I'm trying to protect Eli from this, and he's the most important person that I'm trying to protect. I don't care about them dragging my name through the mud right now, because I'm wanting to keep the main focus and emphasis on bringing her back safely and as quickly as possible. But it really bothers me what's being done in the method that everybody's pursuing and doing, because what's going to happen is I don't want their apology. I don't want nothing from them. But then after this is all said and done, they're going to sweep it under the rug, and then they're just going to forget about what they've done to me in the process. What I've got to be faced with now is, as good a mother as Crystal's been, now nobody's going to love you like a mother. Now Eli is in an atmosphere where I've got all the hope in the world, but now I'm a single parent, it appears to me, where she's been there 100% of the time for him, to raise and rear him, where I know that he didn't have to go to a daycare or a babysitter, and I know that his mother is going to take care of him. And now, where am I at without that love and support from her? Now I've got a little boy who's 2, who's going to grow up his life. If something's not done, where she's not brought back safely, now one of the very most important people in his life, he's got to grow up without. You see what I'm saying? And I'm in here answering a bunch of bullshit that I'm doing the best that I can possibly do with, but it's taken a lot of energy and effort away from the other efforts that could be out there trying to help and bring her back here safely. I can't even go out on the side of the road without looking like a murderer or something like that. It's wrong. I've been extremely honest with you all, and now I'm up here doing all they can have the house. Y'all take anything that you want. You don't need any of that paperwork or search warrants. And now I'm up here trying to get my head where I can be on the side of being able to protect myself and defend myself for my son, whenever I'm the one that's, I feel like, has the largest loss.
Yeah.
So do what you got to do. I'll do whatever I can, but this is starting to get silly. I don't need an attorney. I haven't asked for an attorney. I don't need none of that. I'm innocent. I'm willing to talk to whoever. But this to me is really starting to get silly, because I feel like, I don't have a Facebook page. I don't have time to get on the internet. I don't know a lot about computers. Crystal did all that for me. I didn't have to do it, because that's something else that she always took care of. So now I have people coming back to me telling me that they're completely trashing me online for the whole media. I've taken 17 years of my life, and I feel like I've worked hard to get a good education. I've worked hard all these years. I've built a nice life for me and my family, and now my whole family's name is trashed for something that's completely not even tied to me. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm extremely upset. I'm hurt over it. I try to put on a tough shell on the bubble and move forward. It's extremely difficult to get up in the morning and push on and look at Eli and know that here I've got a million things going on that I have to get done, and then who's going to suffer? He is, and it's not right. I'm ready to hire an auctioneer to sell all this stuff so I can be there for him like Chris. What else do you want to know?
Take me, it's all right.
No, it's
okay. It's fine to be upset. I understand. It's fine to be mad. I understand that too.
He's there asking for everybody. This is a shock to him.
It's okay to be upset by it. I understand.
Through this conversation, Detective Snow touched upon all of the aspects of the story that had been revealed thus far. He was trying to get a better feel for both Crystal and Brooks, and asked questions about their relationship, Crystal's habits, Brooks' professional life, and whatever struggles they might have had. Brooks seemed to downplay most everything, and, as you just heard, made himself sound like as much of a victim as anyone. All in all, the interview is pretty uneventful. For more than an hour and a half, Detective Snow asks Brook Houck rather mundane questions pertaining to the small-town missing persons investigation. Brooks was unable to answer certain questions about Crystal and the time period of her disappearance, but did not seem to be particularly evasive. But then, just before 7 p.m., about an hour and a half into this interview, Brooks gets a phone call from his brother, Nick Houck, an officer with the Bardstown Police Department.
Well, okay, so I guess where I go from here, we're still getting video from different places, that along that route.
Can I get this?
Sure, yes.
Hello? No. I'm up here. I know that you didn't know. I'm up here in this interview with the Detective Snow. I've been up here a good little while. I'm filling out this statement here and everything. Are you telling me that's what I need to do? I know that. But the way that I look at it is, I'm innocent. I ain't done nothing wrong. I know you told me innocent people have got jammed up, but if you're telling me to leave, I'll get up and leave. If you want me to. I know I'm going through a lot, but I'm trying to get this guy to help me. Another guy, I don't believe that. You can't make me think that. No. Yeah, so do I. I'll do exactly what you're telling me to do right now. Do you want me to get up and leave? Man, I don't think these guys. I don't think these people got vindictive just to skin me for no reason. Man, this is not their family. This is not. All right, thank you. He thinks y'all are gonna fuck is what he thinks.
I don't know who he is.
Nick, my brother.
He just, no,
I know it, but I'm not. He just said just to keep sitting up here to give a statement, do an interview, whatever I got to do it. But he said, darn, just to keep letting them just beat you to death over this right here. Just ask what you got to ask and let you know.
And you tell me.
You see what I mean, he knows more about this than I do. You see.
And have I told you that I'm for you?
Yes, you have.
I said, what did I say? My job is to find Crystal, right?
That's right.
However that happens, my job is to find her. Whether I find her hopefully alive and well and safe somewhere or not, my job is to find her. If I don't find her alive and well, my job is to prosecute the person that did something.
That's right.
If that turns out to be you, my job is to prosecute you. If that turns out to be someone else, my job is to prosecute them, to gather evidence for a lawyer, a prosecutor, to prosecute them. I don't know whether that person will be you or not. Did I not tell you when you come in here and sit down today that right now you're the main person of interest?
Yes, that's right.
And I explained to you the reason that you're the main person of interest, right? You're the last person to see her alive, right? And I went through your timeline with you and explained to you that there's gaps in your timeline, right? Be it good, bad, or indifferent, you can't remember some things about Saturday, you can't remember some things about Sunday. That's not a judgment against you, that's just a fact. I am simply a fact finder. If you want to go, you may go at any time you wish to. I would never dream of stopping you, didn't tell you you had to stay. If you want to bring a lawyer in and answer questions with a lawyer, you're welcome to do that. I'd have been asking you the very same questions in front of your lawyer that I asked you today. Right? I have not given up hope of finding her alive. That being said, you know as well as I do, the longer this draws out, the less likely we are to find her alive unless she's run off somewhere. I mean, that's just a fact.
That's right.
That's just the facts as they are. I am not for you. I am not against you. I am not for her family or against her family. Right now, my job is to work for Crystal. Plain and simple. It's just that simple.
After ending the conversation with his brother, Brook Houck almost immediately seemed to clam up. He had seemed rather open prior to their discussion, but his brother, an officer with the Bardstown police force, seemed to caution him against speaking any further. Other details of their conversation we could only guess at. In an official affidavit, Nick Houck would later state, quote, "The purpose of the call was not to interfere with the investigation, but to check on my brother and make sure that he was okay." That interview with Brook Houck concluded at around 7:10 p.m. on the evening of July 8th, 2015. Following this interview, which was interrupted by a phone call from Brook's brother, Nick, the two brothers met up. They actually went straight to the Houck family farm on Pascal Ballard Lane, the last place that Crystal had been seen, less than a week prior. For a couple of hours, the two brothers would be at this farm. Doing what exactly, we have no idea. According to them, they don't remember anything, but they left the farm at approximately 11:22 p.m., having spent 2 hours on the property doing God knows what. We know that the brothers met up at the farm because security camera footage caught all of it. Cameras recorded the brothers pulling into the driveway at the same time, and then leave just before 11:30, right after each other. Yet, when they were asked about this, both of the brothers would plead ignorance. By the following day, July 9th, Crystal's story had begun to make national headlines. In addition to being featured on national news broadcast, Crystal's story was featured on the Thursday afternoon edition of Nancy Grace's program. In addition to Crystal's parents, Tommy and Sherry Ballard, making an appearance, Brook Houck phoned in to clear his name, and things did not go very well for him.
Joining me right now, in addition to her parents, Tom and Sherry Ballard, her boyfriend that she lived with, they're in their 3-bedroom suburban home. Brook Houck is with us. So Brooks, you go to bed and she's still playing games on her phone. The next morning around 8 o'clock, you notice that she's missing. Did you report her missing?
No, ma'am.
Why?
That is a great question, and one that I definitely want to hit the public and the media. I was not in the least little bit alarmed in any way, shape, or form. We have had a stressed relationship at times, and one of the ways that Crystal has always chose to cope or to deal with that is by going to a young woman's name, Sabrina, that is her cousin, her dad's brother's daughter, whom she's very close to. She spent the night there on several occasions.
When you say several, do you mean 1, 3, 20?
In the neighborhood of 4 to 6.
Okay,
like that.
Tom and Sherry Ballard, were you aware of that? Do you know who Sabrina is?
Yes, ma'am.
That's my niece.
Okay. Did you know that she goes and spends the night over there when she's having an issue at home?
I've known probably one time.
Right. Okay, I want to go back to Brooks Houck, who was the last person to see her alive. Brooks, did you go on to the July the 4th get-together that day?
Yes, I did.
Even though you didn't know where she was?
I was expecting, I'd put in a phone call that morning and then around lunch. And usually the maximum period of time that she has stayed gone has only been like a day to a day and a half at the most. And as a result of that, I thought that she would
Did you try to call
join
her?
us. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, ma'am.
Did you try to call her during that time?
Not while I was there at the fourth. I called her prior to leaving to head in that direction. Yes, ma'am.
Some people have accused you of not being involved enough in the search efforts. What's your response?
That is a great question, and one I certainly appreciate you asking me. And that is all of my efforts in searching for her have been done behind the scenes with the Nelson County Sheriff's Office.
Like what?
Detective Snow, who's leading the investigation, and Jason Allison, who's a deputy there assisting him, along with the Kentucky State Police Agency, post number 12. So
Well, my question was what you had been doing with them, but let me ask you this. I know that you agreed to take a polygraph. Did you pass?
They, because of the way that the lines or whatever were on the thing, they determined it to be what's called inconclusive. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but they did tell me it does mean that I wasn't lying or I didn't pass it or I didn't fail it. They just ruled it inconclusive, and that's exactly the way that it stands. I've been 100% completely honest with everyone. I've been 100% cooperative in everything that has been asked of me. I've not asked for any kind of legal advice or assistance or an attorney of any nature. I'm 100% completely innocent in this, and I have exhausted my efforts with the law enforcement agencies to gather all the facts necessary to allow me to have a clean name again. And that's very important to me. I have not responded to a lot of the negativity and all this animosity because I want the emphasis to remain on Crystal's safe return home, and that's where I want it to stay focused in that area rather than dealing with any of the animosity.
After his suspicious actions on July 8th, Bardstown police officer Nick Houck was brought in to testify in front of a grand jury. The same day that his brother Brooks appeared on Nancy Grace, July 9th, Nick appeared and gave a statement to the grand jury. That same day, his police cruiser was confiscated and searched by Nelson County officials. When he was called by detectives and asked to come in to give a statement, Nick refused, telling them, quote, "I have nothing to tell you." As you can imagine, this did nothing to relax any suspicions about Nick's potential involvement in his brother's girlfriend's disappearance. Bardstown Police Chief Rick McCubbin would have a conversation with Nick, telling him that meeting with investigators and cooperating fully would only be in his best interest. Again, Nick seemed hesitant. During their conversation, Nick Houck would tell Police Chief Rick McCubbin, his boss, that if he, quote, knew anything, he would have already told him. On July 15th, Bardstown police officer Nick Houck finally sat down with investigators. After close to a week of haggling over a time and date, this interview was administered by detectives with the Kentucky State Police who were helping out with the investigation. During this interview, the detectives asked Nick about his relationship with his brother and what he knew of Crystal. According to Nick, the brothers did not speak that often about their relationships. About 30 minutes into the interview, the detectives begin asking Nick about their family farm, and then his police cruiser. This conversation meanders for a bit, but trust me, it's leading somewhere.
So when
when was the last time, I guess, you and him were out there together?
We've been out there within the last couple weeks, you know. I mean, we run into each other out there, you know. I mean, he takes stuff out there. You know, he's got a pile of stuff out there that, you know, from his building sites, he'll pile it up out there instead of taking it to the landfill. And I guess where he's too tight to pay the landfill bill, you know. But we run into each other, but we're both so busy, we just kind of pass, you know.
Okay. Well, you said within the last couple of weeks, would it have been before or after Crystal went missing?
I've seen him out there after.
After?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it, do you specifically remember what day?
I don't.
Okay.
There's a camera out there. I mean, you know, it can be checked.
Okay. Do you drive your cruiser out there?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's not uncommon for you to drive it out there?
No, I use the cruiser all the time. Chief wants us to, you know, he wants us to use them off duty. That way, it just kind of provides deterrence, and Chief loves that.
Yep. Be seen. Oh, there's police everywhere. I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a kind of the same mentality we have from our commissioner. So, I mean, when you drive the cruiser out there, what are you going out there to do? Just hang out, or
just ride the 4-wheelers, hike?
Okay. So you're not going out there to hook a trailer or anything to the back of your cruiser and tow back into town? All right. So you said within the last couple of weeks, and it was, so we can specifically say in the last week. Today's the 15th, and she was last seen on the 3rd. So between the 3rd and the 15th.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You've been out there with him. I mean, did you go out there together? Did you meet him out there?
No, I didn't. He was just happening to be out there.
Okay. I mean, did you talk to your mom? Were you at her house? Did y'all go out fishing? Did y'all go out check on cattle? What'd you do?
4-wheeler riding and cattle. I mean, I saw Mom. I don't really remember what we talked about, you know, but we just more or less passed also. I mean, I don't always stop at the house.
Okay.
When you talked about, you said there's cameras out there. What are you talking about?
Well, they said there's one right there at Patty and Lawrence's house. I mean, right as soon as you start up past Ballard Lane, you know, the first house on the right, there's a camera on that house.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, I thought you meant on the farm.
No.
There's cameras.
I guess, I mean, it's no secret that your cruiser was, you know, the chief asked you to bring it in.
Yeah. He didn't ask me to bring it in. It came to my house.
Okay. Yeah. What do you normally keep in your trunk? What's a normal duty setup? Like, I know ours looks like, you know, evident store exploded in our trunk.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, I've got a cardboard box back there, and I mean, it's got, you know, say there's flashlight. So we're obviously rechargeable flashlights in the car. There's many forms. There's a PBT, fire extinguisher. There's a department issued shotgun in the car. There's a bag up front with all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in those cars.
Do you generally keep all that stuff in your trunk all the time?
Some of it's in the trunk, some of it's up front in the seat. You know, all the forms I use every day would be up front. You know, I've got something that attaches to the passenger seat, and it's got all the forms, the accident report forms, and all that stuff I use every day.
You take that car home with you. It's a take-home car.
Yes,
nobody else uses it unless something was to come up.
The only other person that's used that car is Tom Blair. It was issued to him first, and then it was passed down to me.
Okay.
But that's been a while back.
Yeah. How long has that been, you think?
That's been a couple of years.
Okay. So you've been the only one that's driven it in the last couple of years?
Oh yeah.
Do y'all have stop sticks or anything, stingers?
I don't. I mean, there's some units do.
Okay.
So what you keep in the trunk is a cardboard box with some extra stuff in it, fire extinguisher.
Hats, just rain jackets.
Hats, rain jackets.
I mean, I could sit here and try to tell you every item. I probably didn't come up with half of them.
When they took your car, when the PD took your car from your house, what was in the trunk then?
Well, it's this morning grand jury came up that with just all the stuff I just told you, but there was also one other thing I can remember that was there was just a regular blanket for moving. You know, where I moved from 104 Glenview Drive to where I'm at now, I took the blanket that was there and I just put it between furniture to keep it from marring up the finish on it. So it went down the road. I guess it was going to jingle around and.
In the trunk of your cruiser? You had furniture in the trunk?
No, I didn't. No, what I did, I got the blanket at the farm. I used it, and then I was going to take it back in a few days. I forgot about it, so it's sitting there in the trunk, you know. But no, I used my trailer and truck.
Okay. So instead of putting it in the truck, you put it in the trunk of the cruiser, though.
Yeah, I was going to return it back out there, so I just put it in the trunk, and then when I was out there, I was just going to return it where I found it.
Did you just not never get around to it?
I didn't.
Where you said you got it from the farm? Where specifically did you get it from?
The skid house. There's several of them down there.
Where at specifically in the skid house?
When you walk in the front door, right there to the right hand side.
Okay.
Do the other blankets look just like that blanket?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I mean, it'd be easy to say, look, there's still 2 blankets here, and that's the same blanket, that's what was there.
I think so.
Now were all those things in your trunk when they took the car, other than the blanket? So nothing was missing. Nothing was missing out of your trunk as far as your fire extinguisher. It was in there.
Everything was in there with the blanket.
Okay, so everything was in your trunk, just like you carry it when you go to work, except the blanket was in there with it.
Yeah.
So do you remember going out to the farm the evening of July the 8th?
I don't, but I very easily could have been out there.
That was incidentally the same night that your brother was. I think the same night your brother was interviewed by police.
Yeah, Wednesday, July 8th. You said there was cameras out there on that house. Would have the cameras would have caught your car following Brooks? Would just go out to the farm and you would just meet him there. On this occasion, you all both went together.
Usually I don't meet